And I'd like to start right away with opening remarks from the U.S. Ambassador, Kyle McCarter. Welcome, Ambassador.
It's a good thing to discuss the opportunity we have to champion the value of women. And that's the way I see this. We are championing the value of women and the opportunity that they have throughout the world to lead and to, and specifically here in Kenya. And so I don't ever want to lose, I don't want us to miss out on that opportunity for the next woman that may become the greatest leader Kenya's ever known. And so I always look for that in the future. And that's why, you know, I have a personal reason that every life is important, and that is because I had a daughter for 21 years, and I would never be the same if it wasn't for her. And I don't understand why I lost her, but I know that God had a purpose, and He has a purpose for every life. And so today, we simply champion the value of women. I want to recognize the bold and courageous stand that some have taken with us, those specifically from Belarus, Brazil, Egypt, Haiti, Hungary, Poland, St. Lucia, and Uganda. And with that, we'll leave it simply to the statement that's going to be made. Have a great day.
Thank you, Ambassador. Next up, I'd like to invite the Member of Parliament to come up and give some brief remarks. This is the MP Wamalwa. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to be here today. I'm the chair of the Catholic Members of Parliament, and I'm also the Deputy Chief Whip of the National Assembly. We know very well Kenya is a sovereign republic, and in our own constitution, in the preamble, we recognize the supremacy of Almighty God of all the creations. And we are here today because our parents, our mothers, were pro-life. If they were not pro-life, we'll not be here today. In our own constitution, Kenyan Constitution, Article 26 of the Constitution says that every Kenyan has a right to life, and life begins at conception. And in Kenya, in the same constitution, the same article, it says that abortion is not permitted. Kenya, as a state, we are pro-life. We are also pro-family. Article 45 of our constitution is very clear, and it says family is a fundamental and natural unit in a society, and it is a basis of the social order. So if the family breaks, the society breaks, and eventually the nation breaks. And it says that family will be recognized and receive the protection of the state. So we are here categorically to state that Kenya as a country, we are pro-life, we are pro-family. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wamalwa, for your very great remarks. I'd like to briefly invite up another Member of Parliament. Please, thank you, Madame. She's graciously coming up on short notice to share some words with us. Thank you.
My name is Jennifer Shamala. I am a Member of Parliament representing special interest nominated by the Jubilee Party. I will not restate what Honorable Wamalwa has said, but I definitely associate myself with the same sentiments. We, as members of Parliament, are deeply concerned and want to echo the sentiments of His Holiness the Pope, who has said that he was not going to attend this conference because it was being held outside the UN framework. More importantly, excluding intergovernmental negotiations. Furthermore, it states that there was issues with regards to interpretations. A lot of Kenyans do not understand that when you hear the word reproductive, it's actually a link and an opening of the door to abortion. A lot of Kenyans don't understand that when you hear the word education and reproductive, it's to teach 10-year-old girls on sexual matters. If 10-year-old girls are going to be learning issues with regards to sexuality, where will be the time for them to learn anything else? And it's so important that these issues are brought out, and we as members of parliament will do that. We're also deeply concerned that funding in this country is now being linked in all areas. It doesn't matter if you're doing civic education. These donors, some of these donors are stating that you must bring in these other agendas. You must bring in the issue of reproductive rights. We will ensure that we will do an overview of all the legislation that governs funding in this country, that governs non-governmental organizations, and ensure that none of this, anything that contravenes the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, will not be permitted in this country.
Thank you very much for those very powerful remarks. I'd next like to invite up Ms. Valerie Huber, who is the head of the delegation from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and I would like to invite all governments who are participating in the joint statement to please join me here. And now I'm very pleased to present the joint statement on the Nairobi summit on this day, November 14th. We are pleased to speak at the Nairobi summit on the 25th anniversary of the International Conference on Population and Development held in Cairo in 1994. On behalf of Belarus, Brazil, Egypt, Haiti, Hungary, Poland, St. Lucia, Senegal, Uganda, and the United States, we remind both those gathered and those watching that the 1994 ICPD had as its stated objectives and actions to collectively address the critical challenges and interrelationships between population and sustained economic growth in the context of sustainable development. Our world has undergone remarkable demographic, social, economic, environmental, and political change over the last 25 years. Many countries have made substantial progress in reducing death rates and increasing education and income levels, including by improving the educational and economic status of women. It is noteworthy that as opposed to the population growth predictions included in the ICPD program of action, these predictions have not come to pass. Indeed, in most regions of the world today, fertility is below population replacement rates. As a result, family planning should focus both on the voluntary achievement of pregnancy as well as the prevention of unwanted pregnancy. While much progress has been made, developing countries are still facing serious economic difficulties and an unfavorable international economic environment, and the number of people living in absolute poverty is still too high. And that's taken from the preamble of the ICPD 1.2. Together, we affirm the key foundational principles of the ICPD program of action, including, and I quote from ICPD, everyone has the right of life, liberty, and security of person, and that the family is the basic unit of society and as such should be strengthened. We strongly support the holistic pursuit of the highest attainable outcomes of health, life, dignity, and well-being for women, men, children, and adolescents throughout their lives. This includes, but is not limited to, reproductive concerns, maternal health, primary health care, voluntary and informed family planning, family strengthening, equal educational and economic opportunities for women and men, the eradication of HIV, TB, and other infectious diseases, elimination of violence against women and children, human trafficking, and discrimination on the basis of sex. We wish to emphasize that the agreement reached at Cairo remains a solid foundation for addressing new challenges within a consensus-driven process that gives every government equal opportunity to negotiate a broadly accepted document within the UN, reaffirming that health is a precondition for and an outcome and indicator of the realization of the ICPD. The ICPD Program of Action was approved by consensus as contained in the report of the conference and endorsed by the UN General Assembly in its resolution 49/128 on December 19, 1994. UN member states were able to reach and join consensus because it was the ICPD Program of Action Preamble, paragraph 1.15, made clear that the conference did not create new international human rights, and that the implementation and recommendations contained in the Program of Action is the sovereign right of every country, and I am quoting, consistent with national laws and development priorities, with full respect for the various religious and ethical values and cultural backgrounds of its people, and in conformity with universally recognized international human rights. And that is also a quote from ICPD. We are also concerned about the content of some of the key priorities of this summit. We do not support references in international documents to ambiguous terms and expressions such as sexual and reproductive health and rights, or SRHR, which do not enjoy international consensus, nor contemplates the reservations and caveats incorporated into the Cairo outcome. In addition, the use of the term SRHR may be used to promote practices like abortion. There is no international right to abortion. In fact, international law clearly states everyone has the right to life. The ICPD notes that countries should, and again I quote, take appropriate steps to help women avoid abortion, which in no case shall be promoted as a method of family planning. And continuing the quote, and to reduce the recourse to abortion, strongly affirming that any measures or changes related to abortion within the health system shall only be determined at the national or local level according to national legislative processes. This legislative process should reflect the democratic expression of the will of the people through their freely elected representatives. We cannot support sex education that fails to adequately engage parents and which promotes abortion as a method of family planning. But we do support, and again quoting from the ICPD, proper regard for parental guidance and responsibilities, end quote, and giving young people the skills to avoid sexual risk. We would have appreciated more transparency and inclusiveness in the preparation of the conference, including regarding criteria for civil society participation. While the Cairo ICPD Program of Action was negotiated and implemented and by the entire UN General Assembly membership, only a small handful of governments were consulted in the planning and modalities of the 2019 Nairobi summit. Therefore, outcomes from this summit are not intergovernmentally negotiated, nor are they the result of a consensus process. As a result, they should not be considered normative, nor should they appear in any future documents as intergovernmentally agreed language. This Nairobi summit is centered on only certain aspects of the ICPD Program of Action and does not fully reflect all views and positions of all member states. In reality, the 2019 Nairobi summit should have followed the spirit of careful and delicate negotiations that led to the consensus-based 1994 ICPD Program of Action. Unless negotiated and adopted by consensus of all member states within the process and structure of the international bodies, such as the UN General Assembly, no ICPD follow-on document has consensual weight or standing amongst governments. We call member states to maintain the original and legitimate 1994 ICPD principles, goals, objectives, and actions that explicitly retain important government statements and reservations that permitted consensus, to reiterate their reservations to the ICPD Program of Action as reflected in the conference's report, and to focus our efforts, resources, and determination to fulfill the unfinished work of attaining sustainable development for every nation, so as to promote the dignity of the human person and human flourishing. Thank you.